Smite fans? I'm joined here by Barraccudda, the ADC for the Olympus Bolts, and we got something special here for you as he gets his giggles out. He's very nervous. He's with a celebrity here, obviously, so.
My heart's just racing.
Yeah, I understand.
I've never stood next to someone this handsome before.
Yeah, I understand. Believe me. But
oh, wait, no, Dolson, sorry.
I don't even mad about that one. But we have here behind us a little tier list. All the ADCs and magical ADCs, so not just hunters, are going to be down here. And hopefully, Barry's going to talk us through his process and which ones here are the best for ranked play, not competitive play. This is ranked Smite.
Yeah, totally ranked, not competitive.
Yeah.
I won't give anything away.
Yeah, this is very important to make that distinction. So let's start here. Looking at Artemis, but first, I already did place Jing Wei here.
Thank
and I think,
you.
Yeah, so I figured we already had this one down.
Yeah, so Jing's like really good in ranked, and you really can win lane every game with her. You win lane, you win team fights, you basically never die. Crit's also really good right now.
So can you think of a single reason that Jing Wei shouldn't be up there?
No.
Okay, yeah,
no, exactly
I'll just double check it.
Everyone picks knockups. You can dash away from all the knockups ever in the game. And your dash is always up. Your 2 does 1 trillion damage now. Your 1 is a knockup. Your ult's the best ability in the game. Obviously, Jing is the only god that will be in the S tier in this tier list.
Okay, I did think you were gonna hype it up. I didn't think you were gonna touch on it that much. I was told that only 5 seconds per. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just kidding. All right, let's start with Artemis though. What are we thinking for Artemis?
If you're an Artemis player and if you have a support that you're queuing with that will babysit you for the next 10 minutes in your game, she's pretty high. I'd put her like A or B. But if you do not have a support that will babysit you and that will leave you alone in the lane as the jungler dives your tower.
Talk to me.
I don't want to talk to them?
No, you know, we have a single over there as well. So we got all the angles, baby. Look at that. See?
Oh my gosh, bro.
I'm telling you, it's pretty sick.
I'll just look this way.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll leave her an A.
Yeah, so you go with A, as long as you have a good support. That was your one.
Yeah, as long as you have a good support.
All right, so what about Cern? Did get a little bit of buff here. Has a cripple now.
Yeah, so that one's straight to the S category. So I lied earlier.
Okay.
And he's really good in boxing situations. He's really good with Crusher. You can like 2-shot everyone.
That is true.
You can max the dash or you can max the 1 depending on your play style if you want to all in with a 2-3. Your ult now, a few patches ago, does damage to minions, which is huge.
True.
One of the biggest buffs in the game. Cern's really good right now. Trolling aside, he's actually
pretty good. The worst part is I can't tell, and I know you. I can't tell how serious you are. I do think Cern's good.
Yeah.
So we're clear.
It's actually S, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Chernobog. I think different end of the script here. In competitive, I think he's pretty solid.
Yeah.
But this is ranked.
In ranked, he's like okay because his laning phase can kind of get slam dunked occasionally against like the Medusas, the Cerns, the more aggressive hunters. So I'd put Chernobog probably B. Because some games you can have the pop-off rotation games where you're getting a ton of assists, getting a ton of kills across the map. But you can also have the games where you're stuck under your tower, ulting back to lane for farm.
Yeah, I've definitely had the Chernobog games where you ult in and then die, and then so those.
See, that I don't have those games.
Well, right, so okay, again, let me be clear. This is for ranked play. This is not for if you're Barraccudda slamming the Qs. This is if you're like run-of-the-mill. I'm just saying, this character is hard to make use of the full kit, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, they kind of narrow into the 1-2 combo for some reason, and they think that's the whole kit, but you don't have to use those buttons together.
I always do, so I can. This is good tips. I'm writing this down 100%.
So when you're ulting across the map, you don't want to just like raw dog, throw out your 1. You want to wait for them to strafe a little bit, wait for you to catch on to their juke pattern, and then you can 1. And then use your 1 as like a zoning. So you cast it in front of them and you just hold your 2.
Much. I ult in, I 1-2 immediately, and then I use my dash for damage, I panic, and then I die. And people are like, why is Chernobog here? And I'm like, I was laughing.
I don't know, man. I pressed 4 by accident. I got nervous.
So, a solid B tier. Make sure you learn him before you pick him up. I like that. Charybdis, this has been a pick that's been quite strong, I would say, because of how safe she is. What are you thinking?
Honestly, I think I'd put Charybdis in S. She's very good at boxing in lane. She's safe. I mean, she's kind of like a different Jing Wei.
Yeah, she has the get out of jail free card, but also her ult's pretty sick.
Her ult is like the biggest like 50-50 in the game.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But if you have that like perfect setup and you just start slamming people, also use it to push. Please use it to push. Stop trying to go for like the max range. Just hug him, push him, slam him against a wall, chomp him.
No, I understand. This is the ability. Yeah, I got you to push it to the ground. I understand.
The whole combination.
I think we all get it.
Yeah, Death Toll Crusher on this god, really good in lane, really good everywhere.
All right, good stuff. Now this is Chronos, our first magical ADC.
You can leave him in there.
Okay, I'll put him here just so we know, but he is in E, I understand. Do you even have to explain this one? Just no magical ADCs for you or what?
Yeah, not a big fan.
Besides, one of those down there. We'll get to that though.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah. Not sure which one down there, but one of them will be rather high on the
For me, when I think of Barra, I think of the soul. There's the Barra combo. Everyone knows that. Of course,
yeah, that's infamous now at this point.
So yeah, Chronos just not your favorite pick right now.
Yeah, I've never been a Chronos player personally. I think he's really hard to play.
I agree.
And I think even pro players aren't
I was
that
going to say,
great
so
at
even if
Chronos.
you're sick on Chronos right now, still not the best.
Yeah.
This takes you long to come online. I
think, okay, if you're like Imelito,
okay,
you can whip out the Chronos. If you're like Zapman, you can whip out the Chronos. If you're not those two people, please do not pick Chronos.
This is a PSA. Everyone out there, if you're not Emelito or Zapman, don't even pick it.
Yeah, until you get some buffs or magical ADCs get some love. I mean, we did see like the Celestial Legion Helms, but I think that's more just... I think that's icky.
I think we're in the same boat here. I definitely agree with you. Let's just, skip Chronos, D tier, actually E tier, just can't be there. What about Skadi? You have played her.
Big fan of Skadi.
Big Skadi guy here.
Very good in lane against certain gods, mainly a counter pick character. You can also first pick her if you're a really good Skadi player, but most people aren't because they don't know how to do the 1v1s.
So you're just picking this to win lane and win the 1v1 fight?
Yeah, basically. You have to use your ice really well in team fights. That's her biggest thing in team fights.
The most annoying ability in the game, without doubt.
By far.
For me, personally, I will say I hate the ice. But
even pro players get like slid into bad situations, and it's hilarious.
Yep.
Okay. So I did a tier list, and I think I put her higher, but I think for the average player, I put her in like B, maybe C.
Wow. I'm going to put, no. I'll put C just because we had some diversity here, but that surprised me. You picked her, and you looked pretty sick on her. But again, it is pretty much just to win that lane phase.
Yep.
Her team fight's not the greatest, and she's hard to live on.
And she loses to a lot of characters in lane, so if you're just like picking Skadi to pick Skadi, and then you get camped, you're never going to come online. Your dog's going to be doing 0 damage, and you're just not going to have fun.
Okay, all right. I respect that, and I agree with you. All right, how about Cupid? Haven't seen too much Cupid.
He did get a slight buff on the Heart Bomb.
Right.
That makes his laning phase a bit better, but like Skadi, in my opinion, counterpick character. I would probably put him in B, just because when he shines, he can shine very bright, but he does have the situations where people just buy Sprint.
Yep.
And you're like, whoopsies.
You saw it against like the Hou Yis and the AMCs of the world, but true. If he doesn't get online, it's a little rough. But here's another one. I haven't seen too much Freya. Not a big fan of her myself. What do you think about Freya? Does she join her?
She stays there.
Okay.
I actually honestly haven't played her in ranked yet.
I mean, I don't blame you. She's like that ticking time bomb, right? Where it's like you need 3-4 items and you just don't get to that point because people just sit on you.
And if you get those like magical games,
I see what you did there.
where you're mid jungler winning and you don't really have a laning phase, you're just clearing
I've
creeps.
never heard of those games, but I'm sure they exist for you.
But I think other people have experienced them.
If you're out there and you've had a jungle that actually got ahead and helped you out, tweet us.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And play Freya, because me and Trelli are not experiencing those games.
No, never have.
But I do think if you're in that crazy situation where you get a free hasten ring against a Crusher Hunter, you will pop off.
There's a niche situation where Freya can carry, but not most of the time. So I can see why D/E is where she'll lie for now. What about Danza?
I think Dan's is really good right now.
Okay.
I think I'd put him in A just because he's slightly not as safe as the S tier.
Just because you can body block his ult?
Yeah, and sometimes you will just rock it in, and then you'll be like, this is a mistake. I should not be here. Look, I just wanted to be like Panda Cat for a second, and then I just instantly regret because there's 4 people at their purple.
Yep.
But his laning fight's really good. If you have the right support, you can do like crazy 6 CC chains and burst. And if you get a lead, you literally one-shot with your ult 1.
That is true.
Yeah, I'll put him in A.
Yeah, just so he doesn't have the get-out-of-jail-free card that Charybdis and obviously Jing Wei have. Doesn't have that crazy burst potential early like Cern. I get it. I like it right here. What about the Heimdallr? Heimdallr, very strong god and competitive, at least for his safety. What are you thinking for rank?
Okay, so
walk me through the process.
On my tier list that I did, some guy roasted me and said, Heim is an easy character, and I play Heim all the time. So for that guy, Heim's going straight to the S tier because I thought Heim was a difficult character, but that guy in my YouTube comments said otherwise. Shout out to you.
I'm going to let everyone know that's ever made a tier list ever. You get this comment about every single character. Hell is actually very easy to use, and I carry all my games with her, so she should be S. And I'm like, you do that, man.
Every single 3 I have on Heim is perfectly placed. I teleport
never bifrosted into death, not once, I swear.
I remember where they all are. Trust me, I never miss my ult. Always hit my 1-2 combos, play perfectly around every CC. I always immune knockups.
I mean, that sounds like just my normal game. So yeah, it does sound like me. Can I sign off on this? Whoever that was that me? Was that my comment?
That you, actually.
Yeah. All right, so we'll leave him in the S tier, not just because of what that guy said, but he is really safe. He's got some crazy early clear. The Crusher build works with him, that sort of thing.
Yep.
All right.
Crusher, very good on him. He does have the games where obviously you do struggle and you do get camped, but every single god on this whole tier list has those games.
For sure. I will say the one time I hate Heim is when I ult in and they have beads and then I just get turned on. That makes me so mad. So whenever you have your team getting beads for you, Heim can have some fun times. But we'll put him S tier up there as well.
Yep.
Hachi's got I haven't seen too much.
He's kind of just mediocre right now, in my opinion. He doesn't really excel. He doesn't win lane harder. He doesn't team fight better than any other hunter. Okay. He's kind of just okay.
He's kind of like the Agni. So he's just like the point of balance. So would you say?
I put him in B.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I just don't think he does anything better than any other hunter does.
Here's a question I have for you, because I loved Hachi until you can't dash off the horse anymore. Is that when he dropped to B for you as well?
That is actually I did just stop playing Hachi.
Right? That's what I'm saying. I loved Hachi, and then once you couldn't dash off the horse, I was like, he's mid. You know, I like Danza better. So yeah.
It's just a fluidity thing where you just don't feel as comfortable on the character because you can't. Like, you literally chop off their head when you jump off the horse, and now you're like.
Yep.
And it's just.
Anyone who's played Hachi knows what we're talking about. The feeling of dashing off that horse. It's just lost on you. But here's another controversial pick. The Hou Yis were very popular and didn't have quite the win rate. This season, though, we've seen a little bit more, and the win rate's kind of backing it up now. So what are you thinking about the Hou Yi? I said kinda.
I think he's in A, potentially S for me, just because you can have the wild ricochet games that probably everyone that's played Hou Yi has had, where you hit literally every single ricochet, and they all feel great, and you triple balance every camp. You don't do a mistake once.
You're preaching to the choir.
Of course, that's why you're a professional player. Sorry.
So whenever we all play
why that just came out.
We always hit these triple bounces consistently. Everyone looks like that. And Baron knows it. He's just preaching. That's what I'm saying.
We're all Snoopy. We're all Wowie. The best Hou Yi players in the world.
Yeah.
But he does have his games. I think there's a lot of junglers that just dumpster him. If you get blinked on, your dash gets forced before you can do your 2-1. That just feels bad. Yeah. The Hou Yi leap, wanting to keep that one in your pocket. A Wheelix, not a fun time for Hou Yi. Stuff like that. I understand. But even if you are hitting those triple bounces, you're saying A tier. S if you're hitting nuts bounces. Yeah. Okay. 100%. Gotcha. Iza. Free pressure, crazy clear. Walk me through it. She did get a slight nerf now, so she does feel worse. I think she's an A for me, just because I think the other gods in S, outside of Jing, have a relatively good matchup into her and can pressure her. She's not the just win lane, win game character. Yeah, you feel good for like the first 5 minutes, basically, till the other hunter gets crusher, and then you're like, I'm only 200 gold up. Now what? Yeah. You have to play the 1v1s very well as well. You have to dodge a lot of buttons because you only have CC. And then you can also die to ganks because Crusher is a really, obviously, prevalent item right now, so you can't really dash if you get hit by a button. The tick damage reveals your stealth when you dash, then she's easy to follow up on. You know what, I would touch on this one, but I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that one. Thank you. Yeah. All right, what about Medusa? Another very prevalent pick in the pro meta right now. I'm going to put her in S because that's what you're aiming towards. She's just very strong right now. She does everything, and the fact that your dash does get caught in teamfights isn't that bad, and the fact that you can anti-heal on your 2 now makes her feel way better against most healing comps. But most of the time, obviously, you're not really like, oh, I'm anti-healing, I'm anti-healing, this is huge. But in the 1v1s where they do have Aussie and you start with the 2, it does feel very good. Yep. But you literally just one-shot once you get Crusher Aussie. Yeah, her level 2 fight's nuts, and then her late game's nuts.
She should have either a slow early or a slow late, but right now she just kind of wins everything right now. She's very strong.
I think that's also relatively due to the Crusher Aussie build, just because you come online so fast. I think if like Devos was meta, maybe if Trans was meta, it'd be like
a lot about Devos. Do you want this to come back that bad?
Dude, I've been building Crusher for like 8 months straight. Please give me another item.
We're going to come back with an item tier list. We're going to put Devos on top. No one's allowed to build anything else. And if you have Barra in your game, make sure you're building Devour's Gauntlets. I respect that.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. What about Neith, though?
So I think Neith's actually relatively good right now.
Okay. Has anything to do with Crusher?
Oddly enough, it does.
Okay.
So I played a bit of ranked in this guy. I don't know who he was.
I keep dragging her up. I don't know when you're going to tell me to stop. Go ahead.
I think she's B. I think she's B.
Go.
There's this mannequins build going around with the full power, full pin, and if you girdle before your ult hits someone, you literally one-shot them. Lot of fun.
Yeah, that is definitely fun.
But you do have the games where you don't get to that point. And you also just die to ganks, because obviously her backflip is like one of the most, if not the most readable ability in the game. So you have to play to the ganks very well. You need to hold on to your root as long as you can. You need to 2 at the perfect time, because that button takes, 4 seconds to go off.
Yeah, and then if you get stunned out of it, the cooldown goes down, or you don't even get to, you have to recast it. That is super annoying.
You're just sitting here.
Yeah, you just, that's that's your heal. Yeah, you guys get it.
I just feel like I just Hebo one, do you? Neith, B, just a full power, full pin build with mannequins, feels pretty good. Playing against it, obviously very frustrating, and
All right, what about Olorun? This is not the magical ADC I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, so
but let's go with this one first.
I've played a few Olorun games, and I think he's absolute dog water.
Okay.
I think he just belongs in E. I just have not had fun on the magical hunters. I think he got nerfed along with the crit change, and he already didn't feel like that great if you weren't stomping lane.
Yeah.
And I think he has a relatively rough matchup into the current Crusher Hunters.
You've been talking a lot about them, and I think there's a reason you're bringing it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just because you just die in lane. You have to like rush a Bancrofts or something, and then if you get ganked and your ult gets forced, you're not feeling great for the next 90 seconds against one of the pressure hunters.
Right.
Obviously outside of Jing.
Yeah.
And I think he's just bad.
Okay.
I think he's just straight up bad.
All right, but on the flip side. Now, I've seen some Soul picked. You cannot tell me Soul's E tier.
No, I put her about A.
Okay.
I've been trying a few different builds on her here and there. The mannequins, the gilded, they both feel relatively good. I wouldn't put her in S because, like I've said this.
Yeah, you can't crit or buy Crusher. Gotcha.
Yeah, basically.
I understand.
And you do have the games where you feel really good and you're farming. But I do still go with like the Typhons, the Magus. I've always been the more ability-based Soul player than the auto.
The Magus, Typhons, love that.
Yeah, just the rings sometimes feel like you're autoing for like 70+ Telkinds. And
Wet
you're like,
noodle, I understand.
Yeah, and you're just, and your 2 ult combo, obviously the Barra combo.
Yeah, the Barra combo.
It doesn't really do that much damage if you go the ring build.
So I have a question for you, just because I want to make sure that you're like everyone else. You put your pants on one leg at a time. We're all like the Barracuda. Do you ever have those days when your supernovas are just missing? You miss all the mates, run around in a circle. Okay, so that happens because you're like one of the best souls in the world, and that still happens to you. So because that happens to me all the time, and I just want to make sure that we all realize. It's, doesn't mean it's us. It's just, sometimes you miss your ult. It happens.
Yeah, sometimes I miss the whole Barra combo, and then I'm just like, what am I doing?
Like, this is named after me. How am I missing this?
Like, my 2 will go this way, my ult goes this way, and then I'm just like...
Well, that's the issue, because if you don't hit the slow, you can't hit the ult after. So if you miss one, the whole combo falls apart.
It's like you have to aim it like AMC Honey a little bit, where you're just dragging it where you think they're going. And then sometimes if you miss the first one, you're like, whoopsies. I'm just making art here.
You just drew a little, infinity sign, and they just juke it, and they just laugh at you. So I understand. All right, Soul, first magical ADC, not an E tier. Remember, this D is actually E. They just don't, it looks cleaner. So.
Yeah, everyone in chat, keep track of that,
you guys
100%. Yeah.
Rama.
Bad.
Okay.
I think
bad. Next.
It's basically just because he's an auto attack hunter and, in my opinion, an ability-based hunter meta.
Right. So Crusher, you don't get much use except for the ult. Are you thinking actually E/D, or are you thinking more Skadi tier?
Put him in like C or D.
Okay. We'll do C. Okay. Because I like the magical ADCs besides Soul all.
They have their own category.
Yeah, exactly.
And he just loses. Like, if you get dashed on by a Cern, what's your response? You have to roll away, you have to ult, and if he hits your 2, you're like, okay, I'm ulting up, and then I'm going to come back down and die.
Yep.
Okay. And then you feel like you have to go Crusher, which also feels bad. It's crazy that you can't go Rama and build Ichable and feel like good about it right now, because
you should be out trading everyone, but with how good Crusher is, you're not picking Rama right now.
But if you do get the magical laning phase where you're clearing first, you're backing first, you're getting your item spike first, you will feel good, and the Crusher Aussie snipes on a backliner will obviously feel very good.
Right. So this is that crazy moment with like the Chernobog where you're like, if there is a jungler helping you out, then you can kind of have some success on Rama. But if not, in an even game, you're not wanting to prioritize this one too much.
100%.
All right. What about this guy? What about Apollo?
Put him in about B.
Okay.
Yeah, B for me. I think it's just you can have the rotating games where you're feeling good, but if you get behind against a Crusher Hunter, you're feeling very bad the entire time because you can't leave your tower. Your purple buffs are getting invaded because he's, in my opinion, just a slightly better Rama.
Okay. No, I can see the similarities.
I think you have to max your dash in this meta as well on Apollo because...
Can't do the mez because you have Crusher?
Yeah, and it also just... I think you're just in a damage off, basically, where you're just trying to burst each other at the same time, and your mez obviously doesn't do
damage, right? That is what
Back in my day, that thing gave 50 Fizz prots and 50 magical prots, so...
So, all right, buff Apollo, if you guys are listening to this, I understand, we want the mez back. And we still want Devour's Gauntlets. Make sure that they want, yes. I have to keep harping on that because you keep touching on that.
Lower the cost a little bit.
Anything else? This is your moment.
Keep the power the same and lower the stacks a little bit more.
You want crit to do more damage too? Or?
That'd be great, actually. Speaking of which...
I'll write this down. I'll send up a blog report. Anyways.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, let's talk about Ullr.
Yeah, I play Ullr basically every game. I'm known for playing Ullr all the time.
Your axes are always crisp.
Yeah, and okay, honestly, that character used to feel so good on the old axe.
Yeah.
And then once the axe got changed, it's like Hachi syndrome.
You just haven't looked back ever since the axe changed.
That's actually...
That is very similar, but I will say, unlike Hachi, there's a lot of people still playing Ullr. So it's not just like us. I think Panda Cat played him like 7 times. He was having a great all the time. So not just for you specifically, anyone picking up Ullr right now.
I put him, I think, in B.
Okay.
Because he can have his games where he pops off and you're farming, but I do think the other ADCs just have more, I guess, easier kits.
Yeah, I mean, the axe is it's a skill shot, so I feel that.
Yeah, and then if you miss the axe, you're like...
Yeah, you jump out.
Like, if you're at this range and you miss the axe, and you're like, oh God, where do I jump to?
Yeah, the worst time is when you jump in, you're like, I'm going to guarantee this axe. You still miss, and then you're like, I used everything.
Then your 3 goes this way, your 1 goes this way, and you're like, no, I'm not the Ullr player I thought I was.
Yeah, so if you're nuts, maybe more towards A. If you're bad, more towards C.
Yeah, I do think you can go like a Bluestone, Trans, Crusher build on him, and he'll feel really good. His late game, obviously, used to be his weak point, but I think he's actually pretty good late game because his 3s, if you hit a carry, do like 600-ish.
Yeah, you could do a solid 3% or 25% of their health with the 3. That's what I was getting.
It's a percentage.
We're not good at math. We're good at Smite. That's why we're here.
Exactly. So the on her is
good 1v1 character.
Yeah, good 1v1
Bad
character.
late game, no stim. Talk to me.
His ult just feels so lackluster because you want to press it late game.
Yeah, at level 9, his ult feels like the best ability in the game. At level 20, you're like, I should just be auto-attacking right now.
When you ult the tank for 70 a tick and you're just using it for the CC immunity and you're canceling it and jumping away, you're like, what's this button even doing on my keyboard?
Yeah.
I don't think his laning phase is good enough, unfortunately. I think he's like B or C.
Okay,
right
the way you were talking about it made me think C, but just because, you're the boss here. I'll put him in C just because that's where you were aiming, obviously.
Yeah, I think he just sometimes doesn't come online ever, and I think he's literally the worst hunter from behind because you lose all your 1v1 potential. And his clear is also sometimes just yucky.
Yeah, if you don't have like Transcendence and Bluestone, like regular build, once you get Crush online, it feels a little better, but it's clear, for sure.
And if you're stepping into the wave against a Medusa or Cern right now, you're not loving it. So you just kind of get poked on cooldown, but like I said, for most of these characters, if you do get the magical game where you're feeling good, you have pressure the whole time, and you're impaling on every wall and every tower in the game, you're feeling great.
Sort of like those Ullr axes.
Yeah.
If you're on point, you're nuts. If you're not, falls a little bit short.
So I think I would leave him in C. He does have potential to be B, but most likely C for me.
Okay. All right. What about Chiron? We've seen a little bit of Chiron, not too much.
Chiron's going to A for me.
Okay.
I think his cleanse does really good right now. He's got a lot of team fight follow-up as always. He's pretty good pressuring in lane. Obviously, you can still level 2 dash the wave, you know, on the obviously the next wave. And yeah, he's feeling good, but I think he can struggle in lane sometimes. But he does so much damage in team fights and so much damage in lane as well. If you ever get to lead with that character, you are just loving it.
Yeah. Whenever you get ahead, you get to send the ult shots across the map. Just get your poke up whenever you can. Masterful shot. Pretty solid ability. Just auto attack 2. Everyone, you get slowed. Everyone just gets annoyed.
It's free like 400 poke at like level 7, so you're feeling good. Well, with the auto attacks.
No, I know. Auto attack 2. Boost. Yeah, gotcha. All right. What about Xball?
So for some reason, every time I picked Xball, he's felt great. And I don't know why.
Okay, so we can't quite put our finger on it.
Yeah, because I'm going like, I was going like Cowl and Transcendence, and it just feels so good. And I don't know why, because in my opinion, he should be struggling against the other hunters, but he's
a little concerned because all you've been talking about is Crusher, and I feel like he's got some solid Crusher builds, but you're saying you don't even need it.
Yeah, so you can go the Death Toll Crusher build that is viable, but you can, like, your one situation's weird because
Ebola's taking your mana, you want Transcendence?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just my preferred build, obviously.
This is what you're here for. We want your build. I don't want anyone else's build.
So that build is... Actually, I can go through all these. So it's just Cowl, Transcendence, Aussie, and then you go crit or yellow damage, crit, or
Kins, or crit damage.
Right. Silver Branch, obviously. Executioner, not my favorite item right now unless you really need it. Okay. And most of the time you're just buying it in your Crusher slot for like 7th item.
I'm going to need a letter, though. You got to tell me where.
Honestly, bro, I'd put him in like a B. I don't know why, because he should feel way worse than he does.
He should feel worse, because you can't even really feel the ult, right? Like, you don't get to see the other team, like, struggling without being able to see. You just get to, hit your autos and your abilities. So I get it, though. You know, the 2-1 combo, just you slow them into a bunch of autos always feels nice. And then just knowing you're helping out your team with turning the lights off, I think it just gives you a little morale boost.
And you can also get free assist.
That's true.
I don't know why. But
their lights are off.
Yeah, but I feel like, do you get assist with Chernobog ult? I feel like, actually, I don't know if you do.
It's slow, you should. Someone fact check us. I should know. I'm the analyst.
I want to say
no one plays Chernobog, man. Come on. You put me on the spot. I'm going to get fired.
I've never ulted for an assist as Chernobog before.
I do that with New all the time. So I will say that.
You're one of those.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not trying to, like, use it effectively. You're just like, hey, guys, I'm New here.
I mean, the idea is to steal the kill, right? But if you can, you just get the assist.
I mean, early game does like 70 damage.
Yeah. And late game, you just half health someone.
Super cool button. Love that.
Love that for you. We got one more ADC, one more minute of your time. Talk to me about the B, who should have been way up there, but I guess because I added him down here first, he ended up being last.
Yes. I think I'll put him in A for me.
A for AMC?
Because he does farm very well right now. He has relatively good boxing against most of the other hunters. You obviously, in my opinion, want to go Bluestone, full power build, Transcendence, Crusher, double flat pin into like Titans and a Heartseeker. But I haven't tried the auto attack AMC personally. Not a big fan of it. Just through history, I've just not enjoyed it.
I mean, he's got a lot of damaging abilities. He's super speedy. He's got a lot of different things going for him. So whichever build you want to go.
You might have like a yellow damage build with like a Silver Branch with the Hive passive, maybe. But personally, for me, power pin build. His laning phase you can clear very early for free with your 2-3 at like on the 2nd wave. So that always feels good. And then you can clear the neutrals with your hives, because obviously free attack speed and free movement speed, basically the whole game feels pretty good in laning phase.
I'd say so.
You just need to put your hives out. You basically use your hives as wards around your side of the map and just kind of like ward off the spots that you think the jungle will come. So you basically get some free extra wards. And so yeah, pretty good.
All right, a little solid pick. Now that we have the full tier list here mapped out, is there any last-minute changes you want to make? I can drag these down if you really want.
Yeah, move those down.
Okay, I'll drag these down.
I think I'll move on her to D.
On her to D, okay.
And I think that will be my finalized tier list. I assume I'm going to get called out if anything does not match the tier list that I put out.
Well, that doesn't matter because the meta is like a flowing ocean. It changes everything. This is how you were feeling today. It doesn't really matter how you were feeling when you made your last tier list.
Ooh,
So,
thank you.
if anyone wants to, we can blow this up and take a screenshot. Tell Barra why he's wrong. You can take it to Twitter. I'll back him up as well because I'm signing off. I'm putting my seal of approval as well. I will, yes, I will live on this hill. I will die on this hill. I agree with Barra here. So again, if you have any complaints, definitely tweet at us, and we'll tell you why you're wrong. Thank you guys so much for coming out here and enjoying this tier list. This is going to be our last segment of the day. So Barra,
my hair.
thank you for helping out. Your hair looks great.
It's terrible.
And yeah, we will see you guys later.
Hey, wait, what did it win?
You win. You won. Respect.
You're telling me an alien wore this?
Perfect. Okay, that was a good cut.
Messaging him to mute.
The best graphics you really need, Ultra, of course, and I can probably watch a stream on the side.
Content's gonna look good.
Pretty good, pretty good.